Yoko Ono was a visual and performance artist who was prominent in the 1960s. Her works have been known for their impact in the art world due to the experiences viewers leave with. She was known for using audience participation in her art that left participants reflecting upon social issues. These social issues had to deal with peace, feminism, and activism. The 1960s was a period of social rights reform that Yoko Ono touched upon. By tying in aspects of performance, she was able to leave a lasting impression on those who viewed her works. She is remembered for her strong use of personal expression to break barriers in society. Ono was born on February 18, 1933, to a wealthy family in Japan. She had been exposed to the arts at a young age by being trained on the piano, but she also wrote poems and plays in her free time. Later on in 1952, she'd go on to attend Gakushuin University as the first female philosophy student. After about a year, she decided to leave Japan and join family in New York City. There, she enrolled at Sarah Lawrence College to major in writing and music. In college, Ono struggled to find an artistic focus, causing her to never graduate. At this time, New York City was a center of advocacy for peace and human rights during the 1960s. People commonly protested against war and civil rights issues. Yoko Ono was a strong believer in activism and followed along with these issues. She went on to marry Toshi Ikiani, a composition student who helped her get introduced to the New York City art world. With his help, she was able to transform her New York City loft into a place of performance art pieces. These were often conceptual and fostered audience engagement with the shows. With her interest in using art in everyday life, she went on to join the Fluxus movement, where a small group of artists would try and embody everyday life into their works. The Fluxus movement leader, George Makakunis, was able to help her get her first art show. Yoko Ono went on to marry her second husband, Anthony Cox, in 1962. Cox was a known filmmaker who would go on to help Ono make film pieces. Her popularity in the art world grew when in 1964 she made her famous piece entitled Cut Piece. This is one of Ono's most notable pieces of art due to the role of audience engagement. Yoko sat passively on the floor with a pair of scissors. There, the audience attending went up to her and cut off clothing from her body. She stayed still and voiceless while the show went on. As more clothing was cut off, she remained emotionless while her skin became more revealed. She ended up having to conceal herself or her breasts would have been exposed. Yoko's performance piece was an embodiment of sexual violence against women and the idea of male objectification, of using women whenever they had wanted to. This piece was filmed and goes down in feminist art history of being a landmark of sexual violence awareness. When asked about Cut Piece, Yoko Ono said, "When I do the cut piece, I get into a trance so I don't feel too frightened. We usually give something with a purpose, but I wanted to see what they would take." Additionally, art critic Donald Brackett had said about Ono, "Ono is a uniquely situated conceptual artist. She uses her private and personal experience as a transnational feminist to express her feelings and ideas in a highly intimate, diaristic form that shares with her public the innermost operations of her emotive equipment." Additionally, in the 1960s, Yoko Ono made a series of small artworks. These consisted of poems, canvas works, and other artistic mediums. Yoko and her husband Anthony went on to move to London in 1966. Not too long after, she had met the singer John Lennon from the band The Beatles. Lennon and Ono began working on film pieces together, and as time went on, they ended up falling in love with each other. She divorced Anthony Cox and married John Lennon in 1969. One of the most notable pieces that Yoko Ono and John Lennon had made together was entitled Bed-In 1969. Both had decided to formulate on an art piece where they would allow people to come in and watch them in bed together. On their honeymoon, they had stayed in an Amsterdam hotel where anyone could come in and watch them lay together. They had decided to post this for a whole week and called it a bed-in for peace. They had worn pajamas and laid in a bed surrounded by signs saying phrases such as hair peace and bed peace. The message they had wanted to inform people on was the importance of anti-war and nonviolence. This had particularly showed the couple's views on America's Vietnam War efforts and the importance of world peace. This work showed Yoko's commitment to social justice and the importance of global issues. Yoko had said about her bed-in, "John and I had thought our bed-in for peace would transform things. We weren't patient at all, but now I know that you have to be. You can't always measure the effects of your activist work. You just have to wish and pray that the message gets through. Luckily, I think most people are activists now. It's a very beautiful age, when we're starting to become more aware that we have to work together to make things better. Later on, she continued to make more art pieces but decided to start her own music career. She started a music career with Yoko Ono/Plastic Ono Band in 1970. She had made songs touching upon rock and kabuki music. Yoko began settling down with Lennon, and they had a son together in 1975. She had taken a break from producing until 1980. She had decided to collaborate with her husband again. There, they had made an album piece together entitled Double Fantasy that had went on to win a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. John Lennon sadly passed away in 1980, ending their relationship. Yoko Ono goes down in history as an influential visual and performance artist. She is still an active member of the art community and still advocates for social justice. She continued to make works following Lennon's death that caused her to grow more in popularity. She was recognized by the Whitney Museum of Art in 1989 and the Japan Society Gallery in New York City in 2000. Ono's pieces used audience engagement and interpretation to establish key ideas relating to social issues. She had a strong impact on the anti-war and feminist movement of her time. Today, she uses social media to continue her platform on anti-war activism that reaches many more people than she had originally had during her time. She also continues to perform with Plastic Ono Band to spread her War is Over campaign. An artist who was inspired by Yoko Ono would be Marina Abramovic. She has credited Ono as an influence in her pieces. She loved how Ono used audience participation to make art. One of her notable pieces would be Green Dragon Lion. Overall, Yoko Ono will go down in history as a unique artist who pushed boundaries to fight for what she believed in.